Wow. First of all, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much and salute to your grandson. Thanks for sending in your story and your journey and how you learned to become who you became. You know, there's going to be someone listening and they're going to hear this and they're going to respect it. Subject: From 1965 to today, a lesson from an old man who's seen it all. Dear True Story, I hope this email finds you well. My name is Mr. Jones, and I've recently come to know about your channel thanks to my grandson, Mitch. He's the one who encouraged me to write this letter. At first, I wasn't sure if I had anything worth saying that young men would want to hear, but Mitch insisted. He said, "Granddad, if even one guy listens and learns from your story, you'll have saved him from a lifetime of regret." I had to admit he had a point. Mitch spoke very highly of your channel, said you're giving men a voice and a place to be heard in a world that often shuts them out. He even recommended I listen to a video you did called "I Walked In on My Wife and Our Friend." Said it reminded him of some things I've told him over the years. I listened. You did a good job with it. It was honest, painful, and unfortunately far too relatable. So Mitch said, "Granddad, you should write in and share your story. Let these younger guys know the things you learned the hard way." And here I am, 78 years old, trying to type an email that might make a difference. Now, before I begin, let me say this. The woman in this story, my ex-wife, has since passed away. Out of respect for her and for her memory, I'll just call her B. I have no intention of dragging her name through the mud. Life has a funny way of humbling us all in the end, and I've come to terms with what happened. Let me take you back to 1965. I was 18, just starting to come into my own. Back then, things were different. Boys were taught to be men early. We respected elders, held the door open for women, and we worked hard because we didn't expect anything for free. I met B at a community meeting. She was part of an organization that I doubt most people today even know existed. A group of women who stood against feminism. You read that right. Now, before folks start throwing tomatoes at their screen, let me be clear. I'm not saying women shouldn't vote or work or anything like that. That was never the message of B's group. What they stood for was the importance of the family unit. They believed a woman could be strong, smart, and independent, but still value her role as a wife and mother. And they believed the feminist movement was trying to tear that apart. That group didn't last long. They were mocked in newspapers, laughed at by college students, and called traitors to their own gender. Pygmies, as I guess young folks would say now. It's a shame, because many of them were just trying to protect what they felt was slipping away, the traditional values that gave meaning to their lives. Anyway, I'll be honest, at first I didn't like B because of that group. I thought it was strange. But I kept showing up to the meetings because I was curious, and over time I realized how passionate she was. She wasn't trying to fight women's progress. She was trying to preserve what she saw as sacred. She was bold, not loud, not obnoxious, but bold in a quiet, graceful way. And before long, I fell for her. We dated for exactly 1 year. We went to drive-in theaters, danced at community events, took long walks by the lake near my parents' farm. We'd talk about the future, kids, dreams, even what color we wanted the curtains in our house to be. That kind of thing. Then, in the fall of 1966, I proposed. She cried and said yes. We got married that winter. It was cold as ever, but the church was warm with family and love. I remember thinking I'd found the one. My life was set. I was the luckiest man alive. For a while, everything was just as I hoped. We moved into a small apartment on the east side of town, saved up, and within 2 years, we bought our first home. That's when the trouble began. Our new house was modest, 2 bedrooms, a den, a big yard. It was the American dream. I was proud, she was happy, but our next door neighbor, well, let's just say I had a bad feeling from day one. He was a man in his early 30s, lived alone, said he'd been through a nasty divorce. His ex wife took the kids and moved to Seattle, and when I asked him if he missed them, he said something that rubbed me the wrong way. "I don't care. If they don't want to see me, that's their problem." I thought to myself, what kind of father says that? But I'm a friendly man, always have been. I didn't want to judge too quick, so we nodded at each other over the fence and kept things neighborly. Still, I didn't like how he looked at B, a little too long, a little too friendly. One day I came home from work early. I walked in and found him in my living room, talking with B. Now nothing was happening that I could see, but I saw red. I told her straight, "Another man doesn't belong in my home when I'm not here." She said she didn't think it was a big deal, that they were just chatting about a leaky roof or something. I made it clear, never again. She agreed, said it wouldn't happen again. Young men listening, let me pause here and say something. Here are 5 things I think every man should know if he plans to get married. Your wife should not have male friends. Period. Emotional boundaries matter just as much as physical ones. Men know what other men are thinking. Don't fall for the "he's like a brother" line. A wife should honor your home as your sanctuary. That means no surprise guests, no hidden messages, no secrets. Marriage is a partnership, not a competition. If you feel like you're always trying to win arguments instead of build something together, something's wrong. Pay attention to the little changes, a sudden shift in how she dresses, who she talks to, or how she uses her phone isn't paranoia. It's often reality knocking. Never be afraid to walk away if your self-respect is on the line. Love is beautiful, but dignity is priceless. Exactly 1 year after I found that neighbor in my house, it happened again, but worse. I walked in after a long shift and there he was again. Only this time, he wasn't just talking. He was kissing B. It felt like the world stopped. I blacked out for a second, then went after him. I beat him pretty bad, dragged him out the front door, and told him if he ever came back, he wouldn't be walking away next time. B just stood there, crying. She said, "I don't know how it happened. We were just talking about the roof and then—" She couldn't finish the sentence. I told her to go pack a bag, call her mother, get out. That's when she dropped the bomb. She said she was pregnant. My heart sank. I had no idea if I was the father. She insisted it was mine, but what reason did I have to believe her? She stayed, said she wanted to work things out, that she loved me, that it was a mistake. I was torn. I didn't want to raise another man's child, but part of me still loved her. When the baby was born, I got an HLA test done. That was the best paternity option we had back then. The results came in. I wasn't the father. That was it. I never signed the birth certificate. I filed for divorce. In court, I'll never forget what her own lawyer said. He stood there and said, "Your Honor, my client does not wish to contest anything. She betrayed a good man and does not want the house, money, or any assets." The judge looked surprised, but granted the divorce. I shook hands with my lawyer and I walked away with my house, my savings, and my dignity intact. It took a while to heal. I spent a few years just working, fishing, and figuring myself out. I wasn't bitter. I was wiser. Eventually, I met a wonderful woman. We never married, but we had a family together. She's the grandmother of my grandson, Mitch. We stayed close friends even after our romantic days were behind us. I raised kids. I taught them right from wrong. I taught my grandkids too. And now, Mitch is teaching me by showing me your channel and reminding me that wisdom, no matter how old, can still be useful. So thank you for reading my story, and thank you for giving men a place to be heard. The world needs more of that. If this message reaches even one young man who's about to marry the wrong woman, and it helps him avoid the pain I went through, well then, writing this was worth it. All the best to Mr. Jones. Proud grandfather. Lover of truth. Survivor of betrayal. Subject: Mr. Jones. Part 2. How I stayed free and became best friends with Mitch's grandmother. Hello again. This is Mr. Jones writing in once more. I sure didn't think I'd be sending a second email, but my grandson Mitch insisted. Said, "Grandpa, you gotta finish the story. These young men out there need the full picture." And maybe he's right. I'll admit, it's been oddly satisfying sharing my life this way. I'm 78 years old. I've got more years behind me than ahead, but I've seen enough and lived enough to at least try to help steer someone else away from heartache. Mitch especially wanted me to talk about how I met his grandmother, my second love, though I never married her. He says it's important people understand that part because it's where I really turned red pill before they even had a name for it. So here goes. After the storm. After B and I split, and I mean permanently, after the court gave me the divorce and I walked away with the house, my dignity, and not a dime owed, I didn't touch a woman for 2 years. That's the part people don't always want to talk about. I wasn't out partying or trying to prove anything. I was angry, I was wounded, and I needed time. I worked my job, saved my money, fixed up the house, and stayed to myself. I went fishing a lot back then. Something about being out on the lake with nothing but the wind, the sun, and the sound of the water brought me peace I couldn't find anywhere else. And I kept my ears open. I listened. I paid attention. I watched men my age lose everything in divorces because they didn't know how to say no. I watched some of them chase skirts like their lives depended on it, only to get caught up in something just as bad or worse than what they left. That's when I started forming my new mindset, meeting her. Now, I won't give her real name out of respect, but I'll call her Rose. She was working at a diner I used to stop by after work. This was back in '73. I had just finished a job site nearby, and I wanted a cup of coffee before heading home. Rose was working the evening shift, and she was something. Not just pretty, though she was, but she had a certain way about her, graceful, soft-spoken, knew how to carry herself. I noticed it right away. She was pouring my coffee when she looked at me and said, "You look like a man who's been through something." I chuckled and said, "That obvious?" She smiled. "Only to someone who's been through something too." We got to talking. At first, just light conversation. But the more I came by that diner, the more we spoke. I learned she was divorced too. Her husband had run off with a secretary from his office and left her with 2 kids. She didn't trash him though. She just said he was a weak man and she wasn't about to wait around to fix someone who didn't want to be fixed. I liked her immediately, but not in a rushing, romantic way. More in a calm, respectful way. I wasn't looking for anything, and neither was she. That's probably why we clicked. Red pill before red pill had a name. Now let me be clear. By that time, I had made a vow to myself. I was never getting married again. Not legally, not formally, not on paper, not in church, not anywhere. Mitch says I was red pill before it had a name. He might be right. What I call it is learning from your scars. I don't hate women. I love women. I love their energy, their beauty, their softness. But I don't idolize them. I don't treat them like goddesses or queens unless they act like one. Most men out here are programmed to serve, to obey, to bend. The moment they meet a woman they like, they hand her the steering wheel and hop in the back seat, and then wonder why the car goes off a cliff. Marriage, as I saw it, was a contract where I could give everything, and the other person could break it on a whim and still walk away with half my life. I already dodged that bullet once, and I wasn't about to try my luck a second time. And Rose, she respected that. We were honest with each other from day one. I told her, "Look, I'm not looking to play games. I enjoy talking to you. I enjoy seeing you, but I'm not getting married, and I'm not signing anything." She nodded and said, "That's fine. I just want peace, and I want to raise my kids without drama." Imagine that. 2 grown people being honest. No masks, no promises. No lies, just truth and companionship. We became friends, then more than friends, but we never lived together full time. I kept my house. She kept hers. We'd spend time together, nights, weekends, holidays, but we respected boundaries. I never tried to raise her kids. I wasn't their daddy, and I never pretended to be. But over time, they came to know me as Mr. Jones, and later just Grandpa once Mitch came along. Funny how life works. Lessons for the young men. Now Mitch tells me the boys who watch your channel need guidance. He said, Grandpa, don't just tell the story, give them the game. So here's the game. These are things I learned, often the hard way. Never give a woman the power to destroy you. If she can take your home, your kids, your livelihood, or your peace, she has too much power. Protect yourself. A woman who truly respects you won't ask you to compromise your manhood. Never move in with a woman, and don't let her move in with you without a contract. If she wants to build with you, fine, but everything must be in writing. Cohabitation without legal protection is how too many men get bled dry. Keep a purpose outside of women. My peace came when I focused on work, hobbies, and self-improvement. Women are not the prize. You are. They should complement your life, not consume it. A woman who respects you will respect your rules. I told Rose from day one, I don't do marriage, I don't tolerate drama, and I don't like surprises, and she respected that. If a woman fights your boundaries, she doesn't respect you. Simple as that. Do not argue with a woman trying to control you. Just walk away. You cannot reason with someone who benefits from your submission. Control is their game. The only winning move is to not play. The years that followed, Rose and I stayed close for over 30 years. She passed in 2010, and I was there holding her hand when she took her last breath. No drama, no paperwork, just peace and love. Did we ever fight? Sure, but we never threatened to leave. We didn't use love as a weapon, and neither of us tried to own the other. People always ask me, don't you regret not marrying her? My answer is no. She was more loyal than B ever was, and she never needed a ring to do it. Some women understand commitment without contracts, and those are the rare ones. To Mitch and the young men out there. Mitch told me about the story I walked in on my wife and our friend. He said it reminded him of what happened with B and the neighbor. I get it now. Your channel is a lifeline for these guys. They're swimming in a sea of confusion, and you're helping them see what's real. So to the young men out there, I say this. Be careful who you give your time, energy, and heart to. Don't be afraid to walk away. Don't be afraid to be alone. Don't let loneliness lead you into lifelong bondage, and don't let anyone shame you for protecting yourself. I've lived long enough to know the difference between love and manipulation. Love won't ask you to destroy yourself. It won't ask you to give everything and get nothing in return. Find your peace, guard it with your life, and if you're lucky, maybe one day you'll meet someone who fits into your life without trying to take it over. That's all for now. If Mitch bugs me enough, maybe I'll write in again. But for now, I've said my piece. Thank you for the work you're doing. If even one young man hears this and avoids the hell I went through with B, then me writing this was worth it. Stay strong out there, gentlemen, and never forget, you are the prize. Sincerely, Mr. Jones.
Thanks for the tips. You know, you are showing people how you made mistakes and you learned from your own mistakes, things that you believe that you did wrong, and you're sharing it with people that you don't even know. You know, that's big of you, and that I appreciate that. Guys in the comments, let him know how you feel about his tips, about his story, and what you think. Guys, if you want to send in a story, send it to truestorynation@gmail.com. Here, I'll put it on the screen. That's truestorynation@gmail.com. I'll catch you guys at the next one.